My name is Daniel Jenkinson. I am the Asia Pacific Regional Manager for Verdure Liquids Division. We manufacture the peristaltic pumps that Duncan's talked about, but also the air-operated double diaphragm pumps. What I want to do today is a very quick introduction to the Verdure Air product range. Then I want to explain to you why it's the best on the market, why it's the most efficient, and how it's going to save you money when you're operating in your mines or your pumping scenarios. So the Verdure Air starts with a very small VA8 and goes all the way up to a very large 3-inch VA80. We have flow rates from 1 litre a minute all the way up to 1200 litres a minute, which is class leading for a 3-inch pump on the market. Maximum discharge pressure of the standard pump range is 8 bar, but we also offer high pressure pumps. A little bit more about that later. Multiple wetted components from acetyl all the way to stainless steel, conductive polypropylene, PVDF, and the same for the centre section options. With the diaphragm options, we offer class leading multiple options, and we have a very good solids capability, up to 70% concentration and 12% solid size. So if you've got a VA80, we can handle about 12.5mm solids. So if you're on a coal mine, which a lot of our pumps are used in, you've got chunks of rock and coal going through, you're okay. We also offer heavy duty diaphragms. The reason for these is their increased resistance against abrasion, so they last longer. The downtime and period between servicing increases, saving you money, and they're available from the VA15 all the way up to the VA80. If you're pumping solids, when you have a ball and a seat as normal, it can get stuck. You might not have your sealing performance. What we offer, which is different to a lot of the competition, is a ductile valve. And what actually happens is if you have a solid and as the valve is about to close, it will simply form a seal around the solid, allowing the continuation of the pumping and the priming. So you're not going to stop, you're not waiting for your ball valve to find the seat, it will just close around it and form your liquid seal. As I mentioned, we do high pressure pumps, up to 16 bar, and typical applications for these is filter press. We lose 50% of the pump performance, but a lot of guys and a lot of people still think the air operated diaphragm pump is the number one pump choice for filter presses. So we've acknowledged that and designed a pump to meet the customer's needs on the large scale filter press. Quickly, the features and advantages of our pump range. It is the most efficient on the market. I'm going to prove that to you very shortly. Dry, self-priming suction lift. You can run dry, any diaphragm pump without pump damage. Very simple and easy to maintain. The key wearing parts of the air diaphragm pump on the VA range are outside. They're externally serviceable. So instead of having to take the pump fully to pieces, there are bolts on the top. If you look at the VA50 out there, 6 bolts and your air carriage straight away. The VA80 is 4 bolts, and you can take it off, service it there and replace it very, very quickly. So in terms of a competition where you have multiple spare parts to change, we're looking at 9 maximum. Sealless, leak-proof design. As I've covered, wide range of materials available for any application that you may come up with. No energy consumed when installed. We're not wasting energy when the pump isn't running. And of course, ATEX. When you're in a mine, you're going to need atmospheric explosion-proof resistance. Typical Verdure Air applications across the world. We've got mining, water, dewatering, acid, chemical transfer, drum decanting, dosing of chemicals. It's an everyday general industry pump. It's brilliant for most applications that you can come up with. I've looked at the product range, but why a Verdure Air? Why is it so good? The number one reason to buy the Verdure Air is its air valve. It is the best in the market. We can quite happily say that and quite confidently say that. It's a very simple design. It works very, very well. There are very few parts, and the parts that are in there are high strength materials, so the life of the air valve is very, very good. It's low maintenance and it doesn't require air supply lubrication like some of our competition. Looking at the durability and the cost of ownership, because it's made from stronger materials, it lasts longer. Also, the repair costs. One repair kit costs a third of the price of the competition, saving you money immediately. It lasts twice as long. So although you have to replace it eventually, it costs you less money and it takes a quarter of the time in the competition. As I said, you look at the pumps behind you on the wall, that air valve is just on the top. It's 6 bolts, you take the cover off and you're in there straight away. Very, very simple. You're not having to dismantle the pump to get to the key working components. So, simple by design. 9 parts, 15 minutes to service, and that's on most of the pump range. On our newer models we have a much simpler modular cup and plate design, and it's a one piece, it's in a containment shell, so you actually more often than not replace the whole air valve rather than the individual components. You compare that to the competition, you're looking at 5 minutes of service as opposed to 30, multiple O-rings, multiple seals and oilers. You're just taking time away from the actual running of the pump. I've mentioned it a few times, but now I'm going to show you why the Verdure Air is the most efficient pump on the market, and basically what it equates to is saving you money. We're not just saying this, we're going to prove it. How have we made the Verdure Air the most efficient on the market? We've done 3 things. We have an innovative flow pattern, we reduce the restrictions in air exhaust, and we have a very quick acting air valve. What do these translate to? We've opened the suction and the discharge entrance up to the pump, so we're restricting the amount of friction the fluid is encountering when it's entering and leaving the pump. You're not wasting air, overcoming the friction in the pump, you're just pumping the fluid straight out. We've opened up the exhaust air gas chamber, so instead of having to use your air that's coming into the pump for the new pumping action to force the air exhaust out, straight away, the moment the diaphragm pump starts moving to the other side of the pump, it's pushing it out through the enlarged chamber. Again, you're reducing the friction, it's not having to use air to force it out. And we have a very quick acting air valve. It's almost a passive air valve. As soon as the pilot valve is engaged, this air valve will change sides and start the action all over again of refilling the chamber. There is no delay in waiting for the pressure to build up here to overcome the pressure on the other side. It just simply moves and switches over straight away. It's instant. Okay, it's that instant, you might not tell, but if you're pumping 1,000 strokes a minute, that air and that time wasted is costing you money, and it's not being translated to pumping the fluid, which is all the diaphragm pump is here to do. But how do we measure the efficiency? All diaphragm pump manufacturers use something called the efficiency factor, and it's the amount of air used to move a meter cubed of water on a fixed working point and across the whole range. So we look at our VA25, and let's take this as 100% efficiency, 95, 10, 15. You can see that across 57 litres per minute of whatever the pressure, the VA is the most efficient compared to the Sandpiper, the Arrow and the Wilden pumps. There's a graphical formula that translates Verdure Air is almost 100% efficient than the competition, with their published data, especially the Wilden on setting 4 of their EMS, just over 50% efficient compared to that of the Verdure Air. And this is published data. But what does that actually mean? What does it equate to? Let's take a real life application. 1 bar discharge pressure and a very simple transfer of 189 litres a minute. Taking the readings off the graph, the competitor is using 1.94 Newton meters cubed of air per minute air consumption. Verdure Air is using 1.4. The competitor's efficiency factor is 10.26, ours 7.4, so we're 28% more efficient. We're using less air, it's costing you less money to run the pump, and in monetary values, we put this into a calculation, cost of ownership breakdown. So we've calculated that 1 Newton meter cubed of air costs about 1 cent. 1 Newton meter cube of air at 7 bar. Costs between 0.1 and 0.15 kilowatts. And then per 1 bar increase, it's an 8%. Taking the average of energy industry costs in Australia of 15 cents. The cost of running the pumps, $3,900 for the VA, almost $5,500 for the nearest competitor, doing exactly the same application. It's giving you a cost saving, $1,500 a year. That's a lot of money. If you can save that amount of money in a pump just by doing one pump to another, you're going to save a lot of money over time. And if you look at that as a payback period, pump to pump, it's 10 months payback period. The pump has paid for itself in 10 months with the amount of money it saved. Just to quickly summarise, we have a wide range of materials available suitable for almost any application. We've done mining, we've done coal mining, we've done slurry transfer, chemical transfer. Quick and easy maintenance, resulting in very low downtime, low labour costs. Pump is back up and running within no time at all. It is the most efficient on the market, as I've briefly covered, and that covers from the VA8 all the way to the VA80. I've not just cherry picked the VA25. Behind this I've got a VA40 application, exactly the same. And as I've just covered, it saves you money when you're operating it. Thank you for listening.